Nearly forgot this time. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Heinz Sight, the one show that we catch up every single week so that we can see what's going on in the current events. However, this week is kind of a build-up of last week because last week we done a stream going at Amber Heard supporters for pretty much using victims where there was. When a credible case comes up, they always seem to do it. You can catch the last episode on the playlist that's attached to this. However, for this particular episode, is like I said, it's building up from that, and I did mention a name that should have received a lot more attention when her case had been settled and had gone and not settled. I meant to say adjudicated. Basically, she did receive a conviction, but it wasn't for the second-degree murder charge that was levied against her of her now deceased husband. It was the charge that she received was in regards to tampering with evidence, and that was getting rid of the blood. Her name is Diane Redlick, and I said that this is the case that the Me Too should have been hammering on and pretty much putting on blast out there to show how a credible victim has been adjudicated and found not guilty and was being abused severely, almost Amber Heard-like claims. However, when it came to that trial, nobody pretty much looked at it. No one ever references this particular trial, and I wonder why that is, because they like to bring in other victims, such as victims of color, like we have went into in the previous show. But for this, for one reason, this particular victim is not being highlighted, and this is probably the closest person to Amber Heard. In terms of contrast, I would say the closest person to Amber Heard that would have both at least tried to do what they were aiming to do, but for some reason she's not being picked up, and we're gonna go into why, because I have a sneaky feeling why this might be. So without further ado, let's begin. Oh, damn it. Okay. Right, so I had to run the intro there, and I couldn't find the button for me to actually press. Oh well, it is what it is. But yeah, the case of Diane Redlick was adjudicated back in June 14th. I think that's when the trial was going on around June time, and she received her sentencing marching orders, I believe, in August. So there was enough time to get this case out, and there was enough time to actually look into this case and bring up as a reference, like I said, but it wasn't necessarily done. So for this particular episode, we're just going to go through her trial, her cross-examination, her direct examination. In my opinion, the cross-examination was pretty mundane. It was, I'll be very honest. I've seen it. There was nothing that really jumps out at me. She was pretty credible on the cross as she was being asked questions. She didn't really trip up. She was pretty consistent. So I'm like questioning, like, you know, is there really much of a point for me to actually show you what was going on in that cross-examination? Because I couldn't find her in any inconsistencies. The story that she was laying out was pretty credible, and it kind of gave me a real insight of what a true credible victim really does look like, and how there can be some claims that are pretty much, that would seem on its face fantastical, but turns out to be true. We went, like, for example, one of the streams that we've done to deep dive into a case where it was male abuse in the case of Sherry Spencer. We done that stream on here to talk about what he went through in his abuse, and there were some claims where he made about Sherry Spencer, his wife, actually executed. Let me just put it like that. I don't want to say that word, but she executed on his head. Like, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But claims like that was actually true. Like it sounds fantastical, but it was actually true based on everything that he was saying. You can tell by his body language. A lot of people don't find body language even, credible. Some people find it to be fantastical or anything like that. Some people find it unreliable, but there are some times that you just can't deny the value of body language. So the judge that pretty much sat over the case is actually quite decorated, quite well known. Is Tanya Davis Wilson. She presided over the case. Let me try and share that screen with you. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. One second. All right. So let me share that screen with you so that you guys can see. Okay. So it should be ready now. Okay. There we go. All set. Oh. Right. So this is basically her resume. She doesn't have any. She's like I said, quite well renowned in the state of Florida. By the way, this is where the case was being presided over. It was in the state of Orlando, Florida, and she is well decorated. She hasn't had any convictions overturned or anything like that. Most of them, 2 basically has been affirmed. And so she ran a pretty tight ship is basically what I was trying to say with that one there. And she has also dealt with domestic violence cases as well as family relation cases. So this was not really left field for her. And I really felt in watching the trial over again, I really felt that she ran the courtroom well. I am considering doing a rewatch of this particular trial to go through for those that might be interested on the sister channel known as Ketchup Court. So you can go and check out that channel. I'll link it in the description. That's where we do trial watches, as it's not gonna be done on here. Over here is kind of where I do my deep dives, etc., where I get to pretty much chill with you guys and pretty much go into these cases that I don't get a chance to deep dive into because of time and also how topical it could be. But these cases, these streams are mainly more for kind of obscure cases that are not really being looked at, or cases that you would like to dig into, like finding a gem somewhere that is pretty interesting but has been not being widely spoke about. We done one, for example, the cases of the psychosis killer that went on that smoked her boyfriend's weed and end up decapitating him. Same, I think in that case that was someone brought up the case of Taylor Schabusiness, and she used that excuse, but it wasn't enough because there was so much evidence stacked against her. So I kind of gave that live juxtaposition there. So that's why I pretty much do this stream every single week, and I need, I do this stream every single week just to catch up with you guys and bring out these cases in full. So yeah, welcome. If that sounds like something that does interest you, make sure you hit that like button and also consider subscribing to the channel. It would really help us, grow and pretty much create a community here that we can discuss these cases and look at the reverberations of it and how it impacts each of us, really. So in regards to this particular case, I'm just gonna be speaking about the abuse angles that I wouldn't say this case was a case of reactive abuse, because based on her testimony, it was, you could argue, it's self-defense, which is where I think this case is very interesting, because when you look at the reactive abuse, you're trying to understand, well, you already have self-defense already, so why do you need the reactive abuse model? And this is kind of why I don't agree with it, because I actually don't see why reactive abuse is something that is being touted or being thrown out there. It has never really meshed in my head how, and this case kind of solidifies at least my position on it, like that basically argues it shouldn't be part of it, because if you already have self-defense already, it's a credible defense to even bring up self-defense, because you had to do something because you were in that. So what is the room that is being created for reactive abuse? How does that fit in? I don't think it has validity, but some people think reactive abuse does have validity. I don't know how. Does that mean they wake up one day and just kill them cold blood? That's how it would fit in? I don't know. To me, when it comes to reactive abuse, I'm very critical of it, but at the same time, I will accept that it's not an area that I know too well, if that makes sense. It's not something, but I would accept that. But at the same, I am looking to dive more into this, because there are plenty more cases that I have found that I'm going to be speaking to a professional about this. We've had her on the channel before, so I'll be doing a video with her to kind of break this down for me, using this case as an example of how that could play, even though I don't think it's kind of a reactive abuse model, but just to give an idea. Right, so in regards to the Diane Redlick case, let me just get up her testimony. As you can see, I am very, very extremely how do you say it? I am extremely not boomer-like today, if I could even say that. I don't think I can even say I'm not boomer-like. But yeah, oh gosh. Also let me know how you're feeling. Every single one of you that's here, do not look. I mean, feel free to look, but I would love to know how you're feeling, and I would love to know how things are going with you guys. So feel free to use a chat. I will be interacting with you guys there. But there is let me just get this up. In particular, this particular window. Oh gosh. Dangerously modern. Let me just go to a chat real quick. And the Plume says, I wouldn't say it's dangerously. I'm assuming you mean the example that I'm going to be using. Yeah, it is. It does involve a personality that we all know. I don't like to reveal the work that I'm working on, so it's kind of a surprise. But I will be using the community section, so do watch out for that. But it is pertaining to a recent star that killed his girlfriend. I don't think it's well known. I don't think it's really hitting, but it's kind of known in the true crime community. So I'll be doing kind of a deep dive into that case with a professional on the Heinz Griff, so that we can really pretty much get into a nitty-gritty. She is a counselor, so it'll be nice. Oh, in response about not being a boomer. Okay. Oh, okay. Dangerously modern, then I like that. Or dangerously millennial. To be quite fair, I was born in 1991, so I think millennial cutoff point is 1987, 86, I think. So I guess I'm kind of in the cusp, in the middle, or late millennial. I don't know. I'm not. I don't deserve the title of a millennial. I don't think so, anyway. But yeah, I appreciate every single one of you for joining. But anyway, let me go ahead and go into just give a bit of background in regards to who she is and what her first testimony would be like. Again, I'm not going to go through the cross-examination. I mean, maybe I could. I'm still in two. I was in two minds before the stream. I'm still in two minds now, because I'm like, yeah, but I'll be repeating everything she said in the direct examination that I'm gonna show you. So I don't know the real value in going through this cross-examination, except for maybe showing how credible she is. But again, she is the same way. I'll go through it. I'll play some parts, but I don't think the prosecution did a good job either. But at the same time, they had a really good witness to contend with. So what can you do? But she was very credible. I think you have to hold me to that. But I do want to run extended coverage of this. But I just really wanted to get into the direct testimony. And you can see for yourself in regards to how she's coming across, what she's even admitting to, all of those things. In regards to all of that, I hope you can get the picture that she is credible. Because a lot of people, I did see the chat, a lot of people compare her to the ones that shall be named on this channel anymore. Bambi that was heard but not believed. That's a new name now. Bambi that was heard but not believed. So a lot of people were calling Bambi that was heard but not believed 2.0. But I've seen when all of the trial was done, a lot of people changed their minds. A lot of people really started believing her story, and it's a particularly it's a disturbing one from a jump. So let me just go ahead and share the video. So here it is. Oh, hold up, let me get that out of the way. Right, okay.
22, 23 years old.
What are the circumstances of you meeting him?
Well, I actually met him through my mother. He and I came together under kind of unique circumstances, but prior to us, he was actually dating my mother.
Was that the extent of the relationship that he had with your mother, dating?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Did they go beyond dating?
Yes, they had a kind of spontaneous marriage. Yes, she had,
When did they get married?
I think that was in 97.
So,
guys, that's her she basically married a stepdad, basically. Guys, I'm gonna put a poll up. I might put a poll up. Do you guys think that this is why no one wanted to cover it, because it just looks optically bad? Let me know. I don't think so. I think it's a cheap excuse. I mean, it's a stepdad. It's not really biological or anything like that, so it's not that weird. Maybe it's weird in our current culture that, you know, whenever it's family you can't. But I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, it is weird. It's weird in a way. I don't think that should stop it though. I don't think it is kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. It is kind of weird for me to even wrap my head around it. Yes, she married her stepdad, and they were together for, I believe it's 18 years. Let me put it up. I believe it's 18 years. Let me actually save the poll for whether I just go to or not. But do let me know in the chat what you think of that dynamic alone. The fact that she married her stepdad. It's still, I've heard that so many times. I've watched this trial. I would say no. I've watched the full thing once, but in terms of this testimony, I watched it twice, and today being the second time. But that still gets to me every single time. Let me go back to it.
So was Michael your stepfather at one point?
I guess technically, however, I didn't look at him that way.
How long were they married?
They were only married, I think, 6 months. They were together a couple years.
So they were together for a couple of years?
Yes.
And how old were you during that time?
22, 23 years old.
So yeah, they were together for 18 years then, because she's 48 now. Oh well, 48 in 2022. She's 50 now. So that would make her, okay, that makes sense. Right. So Nom de Plume says he said he married the mom. She said, I'm guessing you meant she married the mom to give her better health insurance. It was not romantic. Serious. I mean, I don't know, man. This is something. Yeah, I agree with you. It's still it's still very yucky because I'm looking at just the family aspect alone. It's like me marrying my sister-in-law, is it? Yeah, it's kind of weird because I remember when me and my brother and I mean, this was literally accidental. She kind of played both of us. Like, I didn't even know that, she didn't even know that me and her dated, and I didn't even know that they were together. So it was kind of a thing where when he found out, he literally went out of the room for like 10 minutes. I think it was 5-10 minutes or something like that. She lived down the road. From us, like 5 minutes from us. And I think he just went out of the room. I don't know if he went to the house to do this or just made a phone call. But all I know is like 10-20 minutes later, he came back into the room. I'm like, where'd you go? He's like, no, me and her are done. I'm like, what? He's like, me and her are done. I'm like, you didn't have to. I'm like, nope, I'm not dating anyone you date. It's just, yeah, we don't mess. Like, I was like, okay, that's fair enough. I mean, I wouldn't have hated him for it. I wouldn't have even held anything or anything like that. But it was just the principle that, it's really there. Like, you don't mess with families' romantic partners. So this one is kind of weird. I mean, that was just my brother and brother. So imagine the mother, aspect of it. Or even, if this was a woman, flip the gender to obviously man. It's very weird. It's very weird. So yeah. When I look at it from that angle, it's just family is off limits when it comes to dating. I've always found it weird. So I'm gonna fast forward to the part where she gave her testimony in regards to the abuse that she's been enduring in the relationship. And again, this is going to be brace yourself, because I don't want to do this on this stream. I really don't want to do this, but I'm going to have to keep referencing her. Bambi, that was heard but not believed. I'm gonna have to keep referencing her because I can also at the same time see why they wouldn't bring her up as a reference point, as a person to reference for I'm put next to Amber Heard. They should have, because they have no problem using black women that are very credible and will definitely prove Depp's case. But I don't know why they don't use this one. Is it not popular enough? I don't know. But yeah, let's play it.
A lot of the companies in the area, and he was able to introduce me to people, and so I was able to get a job that way.
Oh, by the way, he used to work for the 59ers, 59ers. Yeah, that's where he used to work at. So she used to get perks from there. Let's go.
No.
So we're a few years in Tennessee?
Yes.
During the early stages while you're living in Tennessee, was there ever any tension or physicality between you and your husband?
At times, yes.
How would that come about?
Through arguments, sometimes alcohol related, sort of thing. At times it would escalate. I started to notice that he would get physical when he was angry, very angry, or if he drank too much. A lot of manhandling kind of thing.
Can you describe?
You already know where I'm going with this, right? She's alleging physical abuse. Guess who also alleged physical abuse? She's also alleging that he also drank alcohol. I guess it's no longer allegations now because she's been found not guilty. But the point remains, that's what she was making claims on the stand about. So again, like I said, this should be your quintessential example. They should be the person that you're bringing up as an example to basically show that Bambi is is saying the truth, and Depp is guilty as the sunrise coming up to give us all light. But let's see why they haven't used her as a witness.
Go to the jury what you mean by that.
Just grabbing me by the arms a lot, sort of a controlling nature, sort of dominating. At times, slam me up against the wall, kind of stuff like that.
Were there ever times when it was more than just grabbing you?
Yes.
What was the first time that you can recall something happening that's more than just grabbing you?
Well, actually, the first time would have been back in Cleveland. There was one incident. We were coming back from a concert. I had saw an ex-boyfriend at a concert, and he was accusing me of wanting to have gone to the concert with the ex, and we sort of got into an argument about it. And I remember I made an offensive comment, which I wouldn't make today. I called him. I said at least he wasn't Jewish and cheap. And he backhanded me in the face, in the mouth, and my mouth started bleeding and my nose started bleeding. And we were in the car at this point. And so when I got to the red light, I wanted to get out of the car. And he grabbed me, and I grabbed him back, and we kind of just went back and forth in the car. And we actually got pulled over.
So that's
Very
the
first.
first time there was some.
Yes, that was the first time he. Yes.
Right. Okay. So based on that, let me go back. Sorry about that. So based on that, I can already see. Well, for one, she's not very emotional from the jump. We can already tell from her body language. I'm gonna try and stay away from that because I'm not like a professional or anything. But that's just the one thing that stuck out to me because I'm looking back to Amber Heard's testimony. Damn, I said her name. Damn it. I should have. I'm gonna have to drink something. I don't wanna. Nah. Let me not do that. Let me see if I. Do I want to do a side-by-side testimony? I don't want to, but let me not do it. But we can juxtapose it here to the being punched in the face multiple times with rings in 2013 that changed to 2012. We can kind of juxtapose it and be like, which one sounds more credible? Because this one, she copped to something that not many people will cop to. I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure some of you might have picked up on that. She copped to something that many would not do, and it's kind of racial. Is it anti-Semitic or racial? I'm not too sure how to class it, but I guess it would be anti-Semitic based on what she said. But she copped to it, and she was, and in that kind of instance, you'd be like, why? Why would you cop to it? But it's kind of giving the idea that he's only reacting to the obvious. I'm not sure. Should I call it racial abuse? I'm not too sure how to call it. But the point, obviously, you should not slap her in any way. I'm not saying that's understandable or anything like that. But if this is, and I don't know what it is, but if this is something that falls under the reactive abuse model, then I can kind of get it because it's not kind of self-defense. It's not anything like that. However, it's still in a sense gonna evoke or elicit some kind of negative emotion with the next person that they might react in a way that might inflict injuries on you. So when she made that testimony, that already stuck out to me as this is someone that's not necessarily trying to sell you a story or trying to make herself seem. It's like she knows she is. It's like she knows what she lived through. So the bad stuff that came with her and the good stuff that came with her is being sold into the story and not minimized in any way. If you know what I mean. Yeah. So number of people says, did the police officer who pulled them over notice the bleeding? It would be irrefutable evidence. See, she never really said anything about this on the direct exam. This is the part that she didn't say anything about this in the direct exam. not that I know of anyway. My memory could be failing me. Is xenophobic abuse. Okay. Right. Okay. That's fair. Or yeah, that's fair. So again, these are things that you wouldn't, if someone is lying, they wouldn't cop to things like this. I doubt it unless they are caught in it and they have no choice. But if someone wanted to put up a story, they wouldn't cop to this. We remember in the trial how Bambi, that was heard but not believed, was basically minimizing everything that she was doing, like the cocaine use, all of those, damn it, the baking soda use, all of those things, the use of baking sodas. For just fair warning, I'm going to be interchanging words a lot, so that I don't get a restriction on my on this video. So if you hear baking soda, it means this. It means like I'm drinking Coke. I don't know if I don't have Coke on me anymore. That's what it means. Same thing with MJ, all of those things. So I'm trying to keep with the policies here. So anyway, if you're watching or just tuning in, welcome. Hi. Make sure you hit the like button. It will really help us with the algorithm. Please do hit that like button. And if you're watching on the replay crew, I hope that you're enjoying this. Let me know how you're feeling as well in the comment section. And also, I am also open to hearing the cases that you wanna also see. So yeah, if you have a case idea, or you have a case that you found yourself or you've always been interested in, that you want to have me feature here, feel free to suggest it. Feel free to just say, hey, can you please cover this case, or could you please take a look at this case? I would like you to break this down, or go through anything like that. It will be pretty much welcomed. All right, so let's get back into this. And again, we're just going through. So we've shown that she can be equally abusive in that instance. I just want to say, because this is when the tensions, as she was saying in the questioning, this was when the tensions was beginning. So it is shown that she also have a mouth. When I say have a mouth, it's nothing to do with gender or sexism or anything like that. It's just to basically say that she does do the quips. She can insult, or she does have that swagger about her, I should say. Nothing is sticking out to me in regards to like being violent or something like that. That is something that I am noticing so far. That I don't notice any aggression or anything like that. So I mean, that's pretty encouraging, right? That's pretty encouraging. Anyway, back to the
to the point where it was, without tension.
Oops. All right. It's a bit frozen. 1 second. Let me start again. It's a bit frozen, unfortunately. Oh, 1 second. Let me share that with you guys once more. All right, there we go. So it is Florida, and all right, back in we go. Let's see how this one turns out.
Talk me through how it goes from happy marriage, good times, to less good times.
Remember, is the same thing, that it's kind of the same kind of format. Good times, deteriorating, etc. Let's go.
After a while, he was happy at the Grizzlies. There were some things going on. There were some changes being made. I know at one point his immediate boss left, who had been with him there the full 8 years that we were there. And when he left, Mike was passed over for the promotion. He would come the natural candidates for the position. sort of acting CEO, and set because they actually promoted a chief financial officer
Is
instead
this
of.
something you observed?
Yes, he talked about it often, a lot. He was miserable about it, actually. And that's right around when Sawyer was born,
What year was Sawyer born?
2008.
Still in Memphis at this point?
Yes.
The tension coming from work, is this leading to more arguments, more physicality?
Yes. Yes,
Leading to more drinking?
definitely more drinking. Yeah.
What kind of things are we seeing as a result of all this?
He was agitated and just preoccupied with issues, so mean at times, less attentive, and that kind of thing.
Were there other specific instances of physicality that occurred while you were living in Tennessee?
Yes, there were times that, like I said, there was.
All right, so there are a couple of freezing in regards to this because let me just pause it quickly. It's because of how it was being, the way that law and crime was covering, or that there is an issue with on law and crimes and you know coverage of this. So you will see a bit of cutting in and out of this. Oh, and now this was expected. Okay, so yeah, okay, so it may not be on law and crimes end. It may also, but then again, it's gonna happen when I switch browsers. This same thing was happening. I don't know if it's with my browser or anything like that, but the same thing was happening when I was loading this up. So I'm gonna try and use a different browser, Mozilla Firefox, and see if that one works out. But that one was particularly, the issue is always in regards to the memory that's being used. So I'm kind of a bit cheesed off with that. So yeah, make sure you hit the like button. I don't think I did. This is pretty much messing up on me as we speak. So I'm trying to fix that. Yeah. So once, yeah. Okay, so also while we're here, make sure that you also check out the new video that's out on the channel. It's a deep dive into P. Diddy's that wild case. So I've done a dive to cover most of the events that I did witness, that I did see, that I was able to come to uncover in regards to the tying together of one of her claims in 2018, as well as how the DA could pursue a claim. How the DA can pursue a criminal conviction based on some of the allegations on the Cassie lawsuit alone, because that's the only one that the LADA kind of have jurisdiction over. And yeah, a lot of this, it's wild, because even with that, and now that I've released it today, more news have come out. So I'm going to have to go back and pretty much analyze and bring out a new video at least by the weekend or something like that. So I've got a lot of editing to do at least by Monday. I'm aiming to get this out and then cover a lot more cases. But yeah, in regards to the Diddy cases that are going on, there's a lot of civil cases, which, to be quite fair, I'm kind of waiting for the criminal side and seeing how he's going to be held criminally liable. The civil cases are very important, but I'm only going to cover it over Ketchup court if it does proceed and does get to trial. If it does get a trial, that's definitely the time I would get over a Ketchup court. And also, if I get a fighting, if I get my hand on the complaint, yeah, I'm definitely going over all of that at Ketchup court. So yeah, that particular case, wild. And I hope that you do enjoy the video. It's literally out now on the on Heinz's laboratory, so you can go check that out as I bring all the information together and like react to it, etc., and make my own kind of hypothesis and where it's gonna go from here. So anyway, going back to the Diane Redlick case, hopefully this is enough. Hopefully this is enough. Right, okay, let's move on and go straight to it.
Yes, there were times that, like I said, there was...
Right. I don't know if this is the memory thing or if this is... I have no idea if this is but I'll see. I don't... I sorry about that. Right. Apologies for this. Yeah, it's frozen here as well on well, it's not really. Is it frozen? I don't think so. I hope not. Shouldn't be. I hope not. But Firefox should be a lot more efficient, but I don't think it's having the same issues. So I think it's most likely it's not my I just deleted everything, so I've got a lot of space on my PC. So I just think there's something wrong with apologies for this. So what I was going to go into was how she was describing being victimized by her late husband, and we'll dig more into. Again, I just want to I just want to juxtapose this case and contrast it with what we saw with Bambi, who was heard but not believed. So yeah, oh, I forgot how cool Firefox was in a sense that you can full screen and then scroll down. Right, okay. So okay. Let me try and find it. Damn it. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. I do apologize that this is taking a bit of his time and I can't play the media and make the arguments that I want to make in a timely fashion. It's kind of pissing. It's kind of getting under my skin as well. Right. Trying to find it just to get to it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it is coming up. All right, so hopefully this would. I have no idea what's going. Why is it like this? This ain't full screen. Okay, now it is.
Scaring kind of thing.
All right, let's go.
When you say slamming you up against the wall, can you describe that with a little bit more detail for the jury?
It's grabbing me and then pushing me up against the wall, and
damn it. I just realized, yeah, the volume was. I'm not sure if you heard it. You probably heard it from my mic.
at times it was heavier. He put his hand on my throat a lot, but other than that, that was pretty much the extent of it.
Putting his hand on your throat, what do you mean? Give some detail on that.
Just when I'm up against the wall, he'd have me up by my throat like this, and just yelling at me in my face, or he'd be punching.
Okay.
In my space, you know.
When this is happening, what you've described as the manhandling, the controlling, the physical holding you down, how do you respond? What are you doing?
I am. Oh gosh, what is going on? I think I don't know if this is my
I would
end
just
or
leave and I would
just.
go to my sister's until he would cool down because when he did get really angry, it did get physical.
Often?
Angry, yes. And yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna pause it there. And this is the sorry guys. Sorry guys. Right. So Bambi, who was heard but not believed, according Nom de Plume, thank you so much for that, by the way. I appreciate it. Bambi, who was heard but not believed, is basically uh, is somebody that, if I was to mention, is kind of like Voldemort-esque. If I was to mention this particular person, I'm going to end up on some Reddit threads and all of those things. So I don't want any trouble. I don't want no trouble anymore. I'm tired of it. But yeah, that's basically who Bambi that was heard but not believed. I do apologize for the muting. That is completely on me because I realized what was going on in the other window. So the point, so going back into what I was saying. Hold up, 1 second. Let me try and fix this. So going back into what we just heard from Diane Redlick, right here is, well, for one, the gesture of how she held her neck. That's pretty significant. Another significant thing in that is her testifying to two things. One, well, actually, one thing now. Actually, I confused the other thing with the violence of being held up. So she actually gestured to what was happening at the time when she was being held up. When we looked at Bambi, who was heard but not believed, when we looked at her testimony, you don't really get anything like that outside of, I remember a lot of people making gestures. Again, I do want to give a lot of credit here because I don't want to. I'd rather be sorry and feel sorry for the person that I went through it and have a case be true rather than whatever suspicions I may have, rather than be right about that. I'd rather have it to be credible because it's best for everyone if more and more cases are credible. I'd rather have it that there's less and less non-credible cases. I just want to make that clear from the jump. But in regards to, so I'm not going to use the, actions, but I will say what she did in regards to when he was violent. Again, she went away for him to calm down, so that when she went to stay with her sisters, he would calm down. There was only one person, again, that we know from that trial that did that. Again, I think this is why they didn't want to use her as an example. I think they knew this case existed, so they probably looked at the fact that she slept with a stepmom and probably like, hey, stepdad, sorry, and probably thought, she was with the stepdad and probably thought, hey, this is not worth it. I'm not gonna go into anything like this. That's it. I think that's the case. I think that's probably why that happened that way, and they were not interested in what she had to say because of that one fact. But at the same time, if they did look past that and if they did go into what she was saying when she made this testimony, it's credible. You would want to leave. You would actually want to leave so that you escape the violence, which is what I found so absurd, and why these bad faith actors, when it came to Amber Heard, damn it, there you go. Well, there's your answer, Nom de Plume. That is who is Bambi was heard but not believed. That's who she is. I don't want to say her name anymore, man. I'm really tired of saying her name. But this case stuck out to me a lot, and I just had to do a follow-up. I had to show what I saw from the trial that can be contrasted with both of these people, and you can see at least objective evidence. The mannerisms, all of those things, yeah, you can speculate all you want, but this is textbook. This one is textbook. Abuse victims tend to at least try to de-escalate the situation, not cause more and more abuse. But again, we go back to the part that she always was more angry that he was the one leaving. Like, I don't know how you reconcile that and say that. I don't know how you do that. But we're going to go back into watching your testimony.
Physically?
I say, yeah, I would at times.
How would that go? Like, what would you do?
Pushing him, I'm probably hitting him on the chest, and I think at one point I did, when he had me pinned down at one point.
Okay, so it's paused again. He had a I didn't pause it, but it's what's going on with law and crime, I think.
I don't recall exactly when. No.
Okay, so she basically testified to. She basically testified to. She basically testified to be, pinning him down, and there were times that she would react violently. In regards to the whole, again going back to Bambi, who is not going to be, I'm tired of Amber. I'll just say Amber from now on. Going back to the Amber situation, right? When we look at that particular case, what tends to occur, at least, it's when she was caught out. When she's caught out, this is when she starts owning up to things. Which, to me, it's not, you're caught out. So she had other witnesses there. There was no way you can pretty much make a story out of that because there were all people there to contradict you. So I'm talking about the staircase incident. We know she only copped out to that because she was trying to defend, or at least claims that she was trying to defend her sister. When I listened to this, I'm like, you didn't have to cop out to this. You didn't have to cop to this because no one else was there to witness. But she caught up to it. She's like, yeah, I hit him back. Amber was saying it one time, even though it's on audio. There are things that were on audio, right? The things that were on audio that Bambi, I hate saying her name, it really does make me sick. That Bambi that was heard but not believed, the things that were caught on audio, she tried to change the narrative around it and say, no, this is what's happening. Even though when you played it, sorry about that, even though when you play the full extension of it and you break it down, and you hear how it's broken down, and she had the chance at that moment to refute it, bring in her story of what happened. She didn't do it, and even then she'll fight it. This, to me, is I personally, when I look at cases like this, I want to use it as an example because at the end of the day, I hate false accusations in the way that it, because it removes credibility from stories like her. And I'm really happy that the jury were nuanced enough to look at the fact that, yeah, she did murder the husband. Sorry, it wasn't murder, it was self-defense. That's what they found. That was her argument. And she got an acquittal based on that. But they were also nuanced enough to understand that clearing up that scene, yeah, it may not look good, and I may make you look guilty, but based on what you told us, we believe you that you didn't actually do that based on what you told us. And we're going to get into what she was actually saying in regards to how she came to kill him. Or unalive him, I should say, for YouTube purposes. But she made that very clear. She basically made that very, very clear that of the events which that led up to his death. She also just to save time, she also testified. I think it's coming up now. One second, let me try and look for it. 1 second. Hold up. Oh, this is slow, man. This is so slow. How comes I can't search? What the hell? Okay, this is starting to really cheese me off now. Right, I don't think I can. Oh, I can. I'm so used to other browsers. Sorry. Right. Okay. So, I just had the wrong timestamp. Okay. So we're gonna go back to one of the events now, where I also find very interesting how she testified to this. Is very interesting how she testified to this. So, this is one of the violent episodes that went on. Right. Okay. I'm double echoed. Am I double echoed? Oh, apologies for that. But yeah, welcome, Georgian. Nice to see you. I'm most likely that's echo my mic. How long has that been going on for? Okay, let me try and fix that. It's probably I don't think that will be feeding back because it's not coming out from my speakers, but I'll try and put down the output. Oh, I know the echo you're on about. Okay, I know the echo you're on about. Yep. Okay, that's fine. All right. So let's go back to the video. I know the echo you're on about.
And he was telling me how sorry he was that he's going to take me out to a nice dinner tomorrow, and he wanted to go ahead and take care of me. Let him take care of me that night. Okay,
so that was the first few incidents. And he was being apologetic. Again, we can hear parallels in with Amber Heard's or Bambi, who was heard but not believed, testimony. So we're going to keep playing.
This occurred at home?
It was in the house, yes, right before I tried to leave.
Were you injured as a result of this?
Yes, and so I noticed that I had my tooth was chipped. And so I told him, I said, I need to go to the doctor, and my face was hurting. And he said, let me just take care of you tonight. We'll talk about that. And so I did. And the next day I called off work. I told him that I got into a car accident. He went into work and he came home early. And he said that he had talked to the team doctor, Dr. Azar, and that he was going to take a look at my face. And I said,
narrative.
All right. So we heard it there, right? We heard it right there. Oh, it stopped now? Is that what it said? You can still hear me, right? It is. Oh, it's probably, I don't know. It's probably the video that's probably stopped. Did you guys hear though? Oh, it stopped. The echo was stopped. Okay. I told you I'm a boomer. Oh, Lord. But in regards, okay, I hope you guys heard what she said there, right? Again, imagine being punched in the face with rings, right? Imagine being punched in the face with rings. That's what Bambi, that was heard but not believed, testified to. What she testified to was also the similar incident, but he was walloping her, etc. And she said, "Oh, my tooth is chipped." Again, this is so unique to getting punched in the, when you're getting hit in the mouth or when there's an injury that is around that area. This is why every time I listen to Bambi, that was heard but not believed, testimony, it comes across as it's just awful. It's just, this is a credible reason why. Again, another objective evidence. This is something that would happen to anyone that is getting punched in the face. You would worry about your teeth. I think it goes back to why Camille even asked her, did you get any dental work done? And she didn't know how to answer that question. I believe she paused for a bit and then tried to, reposition herself after that. But when I listen to that testimony again, I'm like, okay, this is another reason why they wouldn't wanna, put any attention on this case, and it was primarily overlooked. I think, like I said, if you're in the true crime community, and you probably would have come across this case one way or the other, or you probably would have watched it on Law on Crime when it was going on live at the time. I think it was on the 14th of June when it was going on live at the time. So, but outside of that, you would not hear about it on your normal. So I thought it was a good idea to analyze this case and pretty much show you the parallels that makes her a lot more credible, and why that cross-examination pretty much went in her favor, and she came across as credible to the jury as well as anyone that's watching. I don't think the jury made the wrong move in that particular case at all. So they were having financial problems, and I want to get to one testimony because I don't think she said this. So actually, chat, please jog my memory. Did she testify to Depp having an erectile dysfunction during the trial? Because I know it came up in the documents, in the unsealed documents. I know it came up, but and she also claimed it in Bonnie Jacobs' notes, but I'm not sure if it came up during the trial. But the next part is a really interesting testimony that she made about her husband, and it was quite detailed. So anyway, regardless of whether she actually made the testimony or not, and the she is Bambi that was heard but not believed, regardless of whether she made a testimony or not, is something that it's just something that you need to hear the details of this, kind of remind yourself or go back to the medical notes that was being noted down by nurses, and then just look for, I don't think any medication was prescribed for this. They try to go into that, but how she breaks it down is incredible. It's pretty incredible, and the parallels here, again, it's a treasure of a case that parallels Depp v. Heard so much, and it's like night and day basically. So let's go.
At that point, I said, "This is why you've been, so mean and whatnot." And he said, "Oh, I guess there is some resentment." And I said, "Well, what do you mean toward me?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, that I was young and that, he didn't feel invincible anymore, and he thought that I might leave him over this. And at that point, I'm just glad he had been communicating with me, because at least now I knew I could help.
Did you take steps to try and help?
I assured him that that's not something I would leave him over. I said, "I knew you when. This is a medical thing. There's Viagra." And he said, "No, that's not working." He had been taking that for years, which I didn't know either. But I still went ahead and did some research for him. And I found a male clinic that specializes in this kind of thing. And we went together.
After you found the clinic, how did it go from there? What were your guys' next steps?
Well, we went together to talk to these doctors and try and find some solutions. And we came out with a pretty good plan, I thought, anyway. They were going to give him testosterone injections to bring up his testosterone levels. And I guess there was some new groundbreaking sort of medicine that he could, I guess they were like injections that would help him get an erection that he would have to do himself.
At home?
Yes.
And did he begin doing these treatments?
He did, yes.
And did you assist in that?
I mean, no, not technically.
But you were aware of it as it was ongoing?
Yeah.
How did this seem to affect both him and your relationship with him, how he's treating you?
Well, I thought it was a solution. I thought that at least the physical aspect was, solved. And perhaps it was, but I think there was a mental side on his level that wasn't quite solved.
Okay. Can you explain that?
Objection calls for speculation as to what was in Mr. Redlick's mind.
How is that affecting you? How is that affecting your relationship with him? Arguments you would have, things like that.
His behaviors just continued he wasn't the Mike that I met. His behaviors just were bizarre. I think I would liken it to, I thought it was like this kind of sophomore juvenile male type behavior where he was sort of treating me like an object. But alongside that, there was a lot of aggression and it would become hostile.
Can you explain the sophomore stuff that you're referencing?
Before she explains that, okay, that's fair enough. In regards to what, because Nom de Plume actually does bring up a very good point here. So Depp was prescribed Cialis. It's used for other conditions. This was from the unsealed documents. Linked to ED, and she has freedom to expound that Cialis is also Viagra, also used for benign prosthetic hyperplasia, both very common conditions in men in their 50s, which it's fair enough. But the reason why I'm glad that you broke it down like that, and I also have, and the way that Diane Redlick kind of broke her down is because when she went up, well, for one, when she made the claim, in Bonnie Jacobs' notes, if I'm remembering properly, it was 2012. So, again, she'd never made this. I can't remember her making this. Someone has to jog my memory because it's not being said in the chat here. But I can't remember her making it in the courtroom. It was only in Bonnie Jacobs' notes, and to me, that's very telling. Because if this is the condition that he was suffering from, where he would be forced to use a bottle, because that's kind of what her stands were basically trying to say. He would use the bottle because, to do the whole essay, bottle essay or whatever you want to call it, whatever we want to call it, he would use that as a result of, his... That's what the stands are saying, but we never heard her testify to this, and it's kind of weird for me because you would think this is the first thing you would lead with, especially if this is a lived experience. You would lead with this. Memory dumps, fine, but she remembered. She consulted her therapist notes. She consulted all of those things during the break. Went back to 2020 and 2012, changed everything. The violence was actually always from the start, and all these things, and somehow even after inspecting it, she still leaves this part out. Again, this is something, you live with this man, you want to have coitus with this man, I'm assuming, because that's what, even funny enough, that's what Diane Redlick actually said, that she actually, I think we're gonna get to it, that she was actually trying to engage in sexual intercourse with him, and he, because of what he was going through, he didn't want to, which makes sense. It's credible. It would make sense. You're going through erectile dysfunction. It will affect you mentally. As a guy, I would actually, I've never saw from it. Just want to put it out there for any prospective. But I can relate. For anyone that's going through, I can't relate because I've never been through it myself. I promise. But I can understand how, if someone was to go through that, I can empathize and I can understand why they wouldn't be able to perform, basically. So yeah, JD was prescribed acyclovir. Oh gosh, I apologize for my bad pronunciation, whatever that is, which is used to treat the herpes. Doesn't always mean sexual transmitted disease. It can be used prophylactically as cold sores, etc. Elaine claimed he became angry when he had ED and demanded oral sex. Never quite worked that one out. Again, Elaine. Oh, in the filing, yeah. I remember these things from the filing, but my point is more geared towards the fact that you had an open courtroom for you to recount this experience and how it was affecting you guys. If she laid this groundwork, and let's say she was even to try and make her lie a lot more believable, because I do believe she lied. I'm now going through evidence to kind of show why. But if she was to make it a lot more believable, you can at least make an argument that this is why she became a bit more violent. There's an argument here for it, because she wanted to please her man. He didn't like these, and then he was taking, it would make sense. But you don't have groundwork like this for some of the things that she was trying to bring out, that she was writing to the therapist. These things are now putting those notes under question, because again, I'm not basing this on just the mere fact that she went to a therapist. It's not based on that. It's the fact that she said that she went to re-examine her notes, her diary, and also therapist notes. She went to re-examine all those things, and she still doesn't mention it. That's weird to me. Let me go on.
Vulgar comments, like I'm a piece of meat, I'm an object, I'm his property. Some of it, I guess he would portray that it was kind of like lust or something, but to me, it wasn't appropriate, it wasn't okay. He was getting hostile, and he was actually hurting me.
This is actually very true for what Nom de Plume wrote here. He said Redlick is credible because she doesn't use phrases like "I was thrown across the room" or "I had to." I mean, it's possible that someone can be thrown across the room. It's possible that someone can have 2 blood fractures and a broken nose. But I hear your point. She's been abused clearly, and she's even said that she needed to go to and have medical attention for the chipped tooth. He knows that if that was to be the case, he's having a fear that they could investigate him. How did this come about? If she explains, he's done. So he's trying to dissuade her. This was never, ever, ever made into a testimony by Bambi that was heard but never believed. Again, the reason why I didn't want to go through that down this route, I was really in 2 minds. I thought about it for so long, and I wanted to see how I feel in the moment. So now I'm here in the moment. I'm kind of doing it but this is something I don't naturally do. I don't like to compare cases. I don't like to look at this person and be like, yeah, compared to, it's not fair. I put my hand up. This is not a fair exercise, but the parallels are so insane that I just can't ignore how I read in my investigation on the last part of Legal Labyrinths that I done, which is now called Heinz's Labyrinth. But in the last part of that, I basically stumbled across a study that basically broke it down and basically laid out that false accusations are 9 times out of 10. Not quoting a study, that's actually my summation now. But basically, it's basically saying that it's very, very hard to distinguish from a very credible accusation, which is why it is important to do more research into the arena of false accusations. That's what the paper was basically arguing. That's the kind of, the Cliff Notes part of it. So the paper was basically arguing that they need to do more research into false accusations because of how close-knit it is to a real life accusation that you can't differentiate either way. So when I look at things like this, I can see why that difficulty to differentiate a false accusation to a real life accusation is very difficult. I can see why. And maybe that's why I'm doing this. Maybe that's why I had this to just compare the two. And you can already see, in my opinion, how different it is, because we never had this much detail. And with her testimony, I mean, just injuries are not something you forget. There are trauma markers that will be left in you from an injury that you would remember how. Let me leave it. I'm going into the realm of behaviors, etc. And everyone is different. I will concede to that. I'll stay with the objective facts. So going back into the testimony.
Often during these episodes.
You're saying that physically would harm you?
Yes.
Is this while you're being intimate or?
Or he's being sexually aggressive, yes. Or there were other instances where it would just come out of the blue, like perhaps I can tell things are bothering him. I can give an example. He was going to be going out of town for a work function for the week, and so he called me from work the day before and said, I'm going to bring home some movies and dinner. We're going to spend some time together tonight. And I said, okay. So he brought home dinner and alcohol, and we started watching the movie, and there was a love scene. And this happened often. I noticed he would get flustered and kind of start acting strange. And during this particular movie, he approached me and he was aggressive, and he was hurting me. So I moved to a separate couch, and I told him that wasn't okay. And he just continued to drink through the movie, and he passed out about halfway through. And I finished the movie, and at that point, I just went upstairs to bed. I turned everything off, and I let him know that I was going up to bed. He was snoring. I didn't wake him up, so I went up to bed. And the next morning, he had to leave, get ready to go out of town, and he came upstairs into the bedroom. He said, "Why didn't you wake me up last night?"
So when he says that, how does it continue from there?
So I'm in my bathroom at that point, and I'm brushing my teeth, and we're having this conversation, and next thing I know, something hits me in the back of the head, and I look, and there's a box of tampons on the floor, and I said, "Did you just hit me with that?" And he said, "Yeah, are you calling me USSY?" And I said, "No, what are you talking about?" And he said that I had left the box of tampons on his side of the sink. What was I trying to say? And this just was very strange to me. And I said, "I don't know, they just happened to be there. I didn't do that on purpose. Didn't clean up the bathroom, sorry." And I was upset. And I said, "Maybe you are acting like that, a PUSSY." And I walked away from him. And
how did he react when you walked away?
He said that he came up behind me and grabbed me from behind and started choking me. And I had never been choked that hard before by him.
You did this a second ago. Can you show the jury how, with your hands, do a demonstration?
His forearm, he just came up behind me and yanked me really hard and pulled me close to his body, and to the point where I couldn't breathe. He cut off my air, and basically was choking me out. I started to pass out. I remember falling. I remember thinking to myself, "Oh my God, is he going to kill me?" And I remember reaching up, and I fell to my knees. And the next thing I know, I was sort of aware, and I was looking up at him, and he was just staring at me with this like surprised expression on his face. And he reached out his hand and he said, "I'm sorry." And I just crawled away from him into a corner, and I was really frightened at that point, and I couldn't believe it.
Can you just?
Yeah, for those that don't know, this is how she killed him. It's very similar to how she killed him. Because
Describe.
hold up, sorry, 1 second.
That you just referenced.
Oh gosh.
During this incident.
Oh gosh, oh God. Okay, it's frozen again. Right. Okay, so let me try and get. Yeah, so this is how she tested. This is what she basically testified to. 1 second. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom one. Sorry, not bathroom. I'm gonna go to how she killed him. Yeah, so this is what she basically said. Right. Okay, so let's go into why she killed him, or the night in which she killed him. So, okay. I had a wrong timestamp down, so I had to be sure. again, nothing to me is sticking out as this is somebody that's trying to conceal. This is someone that's trying to basically, she cops to a lot of things that she doesn't have to cop to.
Wasn't fine with it, and
And I can't even say that she's saying that because she's a woman, so she knows that she has some kind of inherent privilege there. This is generally, from what I've seen, that is something that likely had happened at that moment. So again, credible. This is the part now, going into the killing.
was kind of whining about it and saying, you know, do you really have to go? Why don't you let me take you to dinner instead? This is our anniversary weekend. So I finally gave in and said, fine, canceled my plans and went to dinner with them.
And so how do we get to the part about the door being broken?
We argued at dinner about this stuff. We were both drinking, and we got home that night, and it just ended up being a bad night. It wasn't any physical that night, but the next morning we woke up. I had gone to Starbucks, and when I was coming home, he was coming out the door, and we talked about the situation, and it escalated to an argument. And I said, I don't think we can do this. It's not going to work. You're going to have to leave. And he's like angry about that. And he says, I can't leave, Danielle. I can't afford it.
What happens at that point?
Can't afford it. And so I get mad and I go inside and I grab his suits, some of his clothes, and I bring him out to the front stoop and I throw him on the front porch there. And he was getting in his car at that point, and he sees it. He gets out, and he hates that because I've done it before. And he starts charging toward the door.
What do you do?
He gets to the door, and I shut the door in his face and lock it really quick.
So you get inside the front door during this incident?
Yes.
Is that the end of it?
No, he starts kicking the door. He's really mad.
And does it break?
Yes.
That's something you observe?
Yes.
So at the time, back on January 11th now, at the time when you go into the bathroom.
Anyone remember that door? Anyone remember it? Pretty sure you remember it. Right. Oh, just also make sure you like this if you're enjoying so far. Make sure you hit the like button so that we can be, just so that the YouTube algorithm, can be appeased. The monster that lies within the YouTube algorithm. First, throw some ketchup in there for good measure, so that the monster can be appetized, fed, happy that that button has been pressed, and he can maybe look favorably on us because he's been choking the hell out of me lately. So, right, and also don't forget to subscribe as well if you like to receive updates in regards to when we go live, all of this good stuff. Let's go back into the video, but just to say, remember, kicking the door down. Does that remind you of anyone? Let's finish this off.
What is your fear, or what is your belief of where you stand at that point?
When I'm in the bathroom?
Right. After the stab that you've just described and you running into the bathroom.
My belief is that I need to get out of the house. And I'm hoping and praying that he doesn't come bust down the door.
When you stabbed him, what was your belief at the time of the wound that you had inflicted? Did you believe that you had killed him?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay. Speak to that, please.
I just didn't think it was a fatal exchange. Like I said, I thought he was coming after me still. I thought it probably made him madder, if anything. I didn't even know that. I knew he'd probably be hurt, but I didn't think it was to an extent that he would be die from it or something.
So you're in the room, in the bathroom. You're in the bathroom closet. Is this
Yes.
the toilet closet?
Yes.
Okay. Does he come in there?
I heard his voice get closer at one point. I don't know if he came in. I felt like he did, but I couldn't be sure because I was in there.
Did he come into the toilet closet?
No.
So is that door closed or open?
Yeah, that door was closed and locked.
Do you know? Did you hear him banging on the door or anything in the bathroom?
No,
You said you could hear him, but you weren't able to understand what he's saying other
No.
than your name.
right.
What's his tone at that point? Is it loud, soft, angry, something else?
It was loud and just less loud after that.
So at this point, when you're in the bathroom closet, you hear him loudly yelling your name from outside the bathroom.
Oh, I think I went too far. 1 second. Let me try. I think I went too far. I'm trying to establish how she killed him, because it's quite important to the self-defense thing that was that we were talking about. So for those that are watching on replay that may not have known how she killed him, I'm just gonna try and get it so that she had basically the part that we went through. I hate the fact that I wrote down the wrong timestamp for this, but the part that we went through that you just watched right now is what happened after she had stabbed him and just realized that apologies for that. Right, okay. No, I think she's getting there. Oh, okay. I think he's getting there. Yeah. Okay. I think he's getting there. 1 second. So they just basically went ahead of us. So 1 second. Let me try and. Hold up. Just reading through the transcript quickly. Damn. Oh, it's not described here. All right. So, no. Oh, okay. So sorry about that. Let me. Yeah. Okay. I did go too far. Let me. All right. Okay. So this is it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is the correct one, right? Okay. Just found it. This is where she described the killing, or the stabbing, I should say. This is where she described it to a T before they ran into the bathroom. So I went too far ahead, basically. Right. Okay. So here we go. Let me get it up. We don't have long left for the stream, so I appreciate every single one of you that did stick to the very end. I'm gonna close out with this one where she describes the killing and how this is self-defense, but it can also be argued as reactive abuse as well, because of the nature of it and how he went about. So how she went about it. So there is a case here.
I tried to get through your brother and I go, I've got a free arm here, and the drawer in front of me is the only thing I can do, and I know there's items in there.
So how close is he to the physical? Is he with his arms pressing down, or is his body pressed up against you?
Both.
Can you explain kind of how you are there, how you were positioned there?
So yes, I guess I'm about here, and he's
Too far behind.
basically standing above me, and he's holding me down.
Are you trying to say anything?
Yes, yes.
Are you trying to talk? Are you trying to?
No.
At that point?
That he snapped and that he's probably gonna kill me.
Why do you believe that?
Well, because I couldn't breathe and I was starting to freak out at that point, and he wasn't snapping.
Right. Okay. So
Well,
But you're not able to read what's in your mind at that point.
okay. So the story that she was told, I'll just make this quick. The story that what basically happened is that he came up from behind her and was strangling her the second time. The first time we went through that already, but this second time he came up from behind her and was basically choking her, and she felt she couldn't breathe, so she acted the way she did. That's classic self-defense. But the story that I had in my head was he came up from behind her. From this is my faulty memory. This is why also memory is not always reliable. But I'm trying to, but it can also work. But the point is, he came up from behind her, and she was spooked. She thought she was gonna kill him, and therefore turn around. So if that scenario I played out like that, because obviously she didn't play like didn't play like that, I think that's a case for reactive abuse, because she's been under subjection. She's been under abuse so many times that if that scenario had actually occurred, then yeah, that would be. I can see a valid argument for reactive abuse, because it's not really self-defense. He didn't do anything. So imagine a scenario where he's coming up from behind her, and then she just turned around and stabbed him out of nowhere, like, oh my god, I'm sorry, and then that happens. But this one is a classic case for self-defense. Even in that scenario I just painted, I don't think it's one of those ones. Again, I need to speak to a professional, but it's one of those ones where I think it's more likely to fall under reactive abuse and not self-defense.
that he snapped and that he's probably gonna kill me.
Why do you believe that?
Well, because I couldn't breathe and I was starting to freak out at that point, and he wasn't stopping.
Did anything make you believe that this time is different than the times before?
And oh gosh, all right, something is wrong. Okay, so right, so my browser just I'll call it there. I'll call it there. My browser just literally broke down, so it's gonna be a pain to get it back up. I'll call it there. But that's basically the stream. Next week, I will review what we're doing next week. One second, let me actually go into my book for this one, because it is a quite special case. I have a lot of content to bring out next week. So next week we're looking at the case of, I'm not sure if you heard of this case, but it's kind of it's kind of in the territory of sex work and people that are working in that industry. But what basically happened is basically three cases in one. So basically is the sex therapist that was I believe it was killed, and then there's two other cases in here. That was a stalking case of an OnlyFans murderer. Sorry, OnlyFans, not OnlyFans murderer. That's clearly. That was an OnlyFans subscriber, and basically he was stalking the model and found himself in the attic. Is NH versus Guerrero. So I'm gonna be going through that case here, and also another case where a city councilman killed a stripper. It's recent, actually. It's quite recent, and all these cases, they all have one thing in common, and we're basically talking about the value of sex workers. There is also a part in which sex workers do not even, if someone grapes a sex worker, coitus worker, whatever you want. I hate YouTube sometimes, but if someone was to grape them, they wouldn't be, they would not class that incident as grape. It wouldn't be recorded as grape. So I'm going to use these cases, and I'm going to also use these cases to kind of argue how that is it's fundamentally wrong, and how these stigmas leads to more murders like that. So it's kind of gonna be a more of a deep dive. I am into kind of the trying to get into the mind of these people and why they do the things that they do, and how and why they basically seek out strict, what they basically hope to gain from them, what's their motivation for being with them. In the case of the congressman, in the case of the stalker, because again, there is so much I want to unpack in that, and I can't wait to bring that out and make these streams a lot more comprehensive, like I intended, like such as the psychosis killer, for example. That was a case that I really that's kind of the blueprint of Heinz Sight, is to really make it as comprehensive as possible, to also show the mental side of this, the psychological side of these type of cases, these type of murders that occur that many of us don't think about. So anyway, I don't want to hold you guys up. It's what I meant to say, or go into too much that would hold you guys up. So I appreciate every single one of you that did tune in for today. Do hit that, you do the YouTube things, hit that like button. And I really hope that you guys did like the kind of side-by-side analysis. Wasn't my intention. I wanted to go from a different angle, wanted to try and keep it just her and analyze how she's a credible victim and why she deserves her acquittal, despite still having a sentence for cleaning up the crime scene, or basically evidence tampering. But that's what the focus was on in regards to Associated Press when they were reporting the case. I don't think that was fair, but of course it's facts. You have to bring it out, because getting the acquittal should be the first. They should lead with that. Like, she was actually exonerated and she was a domestic violence victim, but this was not the case. They didn't lead with that. They were only focusing on, let me actually get the article up. 1 second. 1 second. Let me actually get it up. I don't like talking and not showing it. Sorry, I'm like that. All right. Okay. Let me get the article up. Hold on, 1 second. Gosh. Where is it? Okay. Okay. It's not coming up. There it is. Okay, cool. So she's only been released on probation. Let me show you. Right, so let me share the screen instead. There we go. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see that. Okay, so she's only been released on probation. That's all she got. But again, when you read this, again, where is the domestic violence part? They were going through divorce. That's true. That's it. That's the part. Like, I probably should have led with this one, but that I probably should have led with this. But it's kind of shameful that you don't even get the domestic violence that she's been suffering in at all. And I'm kind of embarrassed that this is the one time I actually did bring it up. I probably should have led with this one, but again, Nom de Plume says great stream again. 1 second, let me go to that. Great stream again, Rufo 44. I appreciate that you enjoyed that stream. I should have, like I said, I'm still getting used to this, so I will get better. I think I have got better in terms of my speech and articulation, which I'm kind of proud of. I'm not stuttering as much as I used to, so I'm kind of getting my mojo back from when I used to do it. Well, I never did live. This is the first time. This channel is kind of the first time doing it properly. But I used to do a lot of album reviews back in 2018, 2019. I never used to stutter as much as I did. But I'm kind of happy that part has improved. Now it's just to get the structure right, give you the real core information. So point is, I'm glad that you did that. You guys did enjoy the stream, and Nom de Plume, I appreciate you feeding back for me, because that gives me a lot of motivation to get the next one right, the next one right, the next one right. So I appreciate every single one of you that do point out the things that I do wrong, that do point out the things that I do right. It does go a long way. I'm not, that's not a joke. But to go back to that article, again, you see it here. We went through, I'm kind of happy now that we kind of did go through everything to do with the case and her testimony and everything and what she went through. And the most credible source, Associated Press and Reuters, are known as the most credible sources to go to in, when dealing with matters in regards to the media and their reporting. And yet they don't mention the domestic violence that she went through. I'm reading it here again just to be sure. And I don't know why they don't mention it at all. At all. Like, she is a victim of domestic violence. That's why she was acquitted. That's why the jury believed her. But no mention of it during a fight in her home. That's it? That's all you're going to mention? But every time that we read Det v. Heard, any article, it keeps referencing to domestic violence, domestic violence, domestic violence. Every article that mentioned Amber Heard, that's all that was. But you have a case here. Gosh, yeah, I'm kind of happy that is now coming out. Well, at least there is the linchpin or the crux of this stream, in a way. The media bias that was brought on in this case, that they should have really put it on blast that she was a victim, but for some reason it's minimized. Was it a man that wrote this? Oh, we never know who wrote this. Was it a man or a woman? I just realized what I just said. Would have been interesting to know who wrote it. Would have been interesting to know which gender wrote it, but we'll just leave it there. I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. Let me actually do one thing before I do close out. Yeah, we'll see you on the next one, because like I said, that one is going to be a real dive that I hope a lot of you will gain a lot of insight from. I think these are things, especially with the strippers and those that are coitus workers. I think those type of cases should be studied a lot more deeper, because was it Ted Bundy, or I don't know, Zodiac Killer? Not too sure which one of the killers that were targeting, not Jack the Ripper, but there is a lot more modern examples that usually used to target coitus workers. So I'm always interested, because I used to watch Mindhunter. So and this, I really love that series. But the point is, cases like that needs a lot closer examination into why, because you view people as less than human to target them, for example. So I that's what I want to ascertain from the cases that I'm gonna cover next week. So hopefully I'll see you there. I'm gonna leave it here before I ramble on more and more. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care of yourself and have a great day. Bye bye.